I'm John Kaiser at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver, May 15th, 2022. I'm here today with Loren Komperdo of Zephyr Minerals. Loren, welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you, John.
Loren, I had you here a couple of years ago, January 2020. Zephyr Minerals was presenting the El Plomo Broken Hill style play. It had a great run. Stock made it over $1. You got the drill permit despite all these opposing NIMBY types, and you drilled the hole, and it wasn't there as you expected. Can you sort of give a sort of closure type of explanation? What did you find? What caused the anomaly? And
Absolutely. So we were drilling that play, Broken Hill type deposit. The surface expression, we had a nice thick interval with high grade lead, zinc, silver. And along with that, we had magnetite in there. The magnetite is very magnetic, of course. So we'd shot an airborne magnetic survey. We had a huge magnetic anomaly right below that along strike and down dip. And when we drilled that anomaly, we of course thought the anomaly was going to be a huge intercept of ore, whereas in fact the sulfides were not there, and the magnetite manifested itself in the hanging wall rock above the zone. So at the end of the day, it was a geological failure. There's still some plays on that trend. There's some more geophysical anomalies. The problem is now we don't know if those geophysical anomalies are magnetite in the wall rock or actually magnetite in an ore zone. So it's a difficult situation now, but we still have the land, and if we do get permitted for our mine, we will probably go in there and do a bit more work.
now you have pivoted back to the original high-grade gold system at the Dawson project in Colorado, and you were optimistic of getting a permit for doing, or at least going to the next stage for getting a permit to drive a decline so that you can ultimately develop. This is a small-scale mine, and also do underground drilling to show that there's a lot more to this system of mesothermal chutes that are dipping the wrong way into the mountain. Where does that permitting cycle stand right now?
Well, the permitting cycle is taking much longer than we originally envisioned. If you look at the website, Colorado says they will permit you in 12 months. Well, that's not quite the case because they require 15 months of groundwater monitoring. You can't do it in 12 months. So 100% of the time you have to withdraw your permit and until those 5 quarters are up. So right now where we are is if we haven't withdrawn it now, we're going to be withdrawing the permit within a few days. The regulatory authorities want us to drill additional water monitoring wells, which we'll be doing this fall. And then we've got 5 quarters of water monitoring. You could apply back for your mining license before those are finished. So, but we don't envision having that permitting process finished until at the earliest the 3rd or 4th quarter of 23. So in the meantime, nobody wants us to sit there and permit as a junior exploration company. So we had to go out and find additional opportunities for ourselves.
Now, your move into Zimbabwe intrigues me because 20 years ago or so, you did something similar with Vietnam, which opened up after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, and you had success there and experience dealing with a dysfunctional country that's suddenly opening up to the West. Now this appears to be happening in Zimbabwe with all those greenstone belts being averaging 400,000 ounces or so per year for the last century, half of it coming from relatively small scale operations. If you're able to get title to these big sort of EPOs that cover large land positions, what's going to be your strategy to turn all these small scale mined veins and shears into something that can become a modern mine?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll just step back a bit and tell you why we got into Zimbabwe. Like you mentioned, we got into Vietnam in the late 90s because they changed the mineral law and made it much more advantageous for Western companies. Zimbabwe is now doing exactly the same thing for Western companies, starting with a new regulation that came in at the end of December 2020, which allowed foreign owners to get 100% of the property. Before that, it was 49% was the maximum you could have. So they've changed the mineral law, and they're adding and changing things all the time to make it more and more advantageous. And they basically need foreign currency. They need hard dollars in the country, and the best way to do it was with mining, because they're well endowed with resources, minerals. And as you mentioned, right now in Zimbabwe, probably there's 1 million to 1.5 million local miners digging in the ground. They have no capital. And when they find a deposit, they find it by crushing the rock. If they see gold in the pan, they know there's gold there and they start mining. And there's literally thousands of these deposits. So our goal is to basically come into these places where we think there's preferably a large open pit potential, and finance these guys to explore their properties. Like I say, there's I know of projects there that are several kilometers long and up to a kilometer wide, that's being mined locally by hundreds of guys. And they have claims. These claims are legitimate claims that are owned by them. They're legal claims, and they don't have any drilling. I mean, these could be just giant deposits that they don't know about because there's no capital in the country.
Now, in your presentation, you mentioned that an ASX company, an Australian company, had discovered a new pegmatite in Zimbabwe, which the Chinese bought for about 400 million. Zimbabwe was the biggest lithium producer during the 60s. They have more the petalite type of pegmatites, which the glassware industry prefers over spodumene ones. Mm-hmm. But since then has the potential for the spodumene type of pegmatite emerged as a possibility that isn't already tied up by other groups. That could also be something that, as you're checking out all these greenstone belt hosted gold targets, you can also keep an eye out and perhaps develop a pegmatite portfolio on the side. Right,
and that potential is there. In fact, some of the highest grade gold deposits abut pegmatites. So that is obviously something we're looking at right now. And like I say, that the Chinese firm paid $400 million for an undeveloped pegmatite deposit in Zimbabwe. So in fact, on one of our EPO applications that we have, there is an old tantalum mine on there, which we now control through our EPO, and that has never been looked at for lithium.
So as an early mover into Zimbabwe, after it finally got a sensible mining code, it's not just gold that you have the potential to acquire, but you can also potentially end up in the Lithium Mania 2.0 pegmatite hunt, whose success is needed to allow electric vehicles to eventually replace combustion engines.
Absolutely. In fact, I guess it may have sounded like we're there mining or looking for gold only, but in fact, we are looking for any mineral that we feel is economic or has the potential to be economic in there, and which lithium is one of them.
And so one final question. Robert Mugabe kept Zimbabwe under his grip for many, many decades. It caused it to miss the third world frontier exploration boom that started in the 90s. This is now happening again. But on the political scene, he got kicked out in 2017. He passed away from cancer in 2019. Is the country ready to stay a democracy and allow rule of law to guide its future? What is the chance that a new strongman emerges and sets Zimbabwe back into the past?
I don't think that is very likely. Right now, what you've got elections coming up in 2023. There's ZANU-PF, who's in the government right now, and another group of party which were the opposition previously, the CCC. And it doesn't matter who's in there, whether it's ZANU-PF or CCC, both groups need foreign dollars. They need hard currency in the country. And the only way, or the quickest way and easiest way to do that, is through letting foreign companies come in and exploit mineral deposits to develop the country and bring in hard currency.
Your story of going into this third world frontier, for me, it's a bit of a nostalgia trip, because going back to the 90s, that was a fantastic period when all those juniors swarmed into Latin America when it opened up, found all kinds of stuff, just looking at the color anomalies and putting boots on the ground saying, wow, this has never been followed up before. So I like the Zephyr Minerals story because there aren't that many such opportunities left. I've been speaking with Loren Komperdo of Zephyr Minerals. Loren, thank you for being part of the Metals Investor Forum.
Thank you, John.